Otherwise, it's okay like this.
I do have. So which one do you see at the moment? Do you have the full?
Oh, maybe it's okay for other people. I think I exited, so.
It looks good for me, actually.
Yeah,
Okay,
it looks
That's
good.
fine then. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So I did call that a hard case and not a worst case, because it may not be the worst case storyline. Paris under 50 degrees. And I have to say a few words of context for this study, which is yet unpublished in academic literature, although we've done some publication in CT report. So yeah, actually there was a workshop between scientists, a few scientists, and the City of Paris engineers and services, to prepare the revision of the climate plan in July 2021, and we were discussing what should we expect as a heat wave and measures, and they were showing what they planned. And at some point in the discussion, it was nice to remind that a few weeks earlier, we had 50 degrees occurring at the same latitude as Paris. So immediately it triggered the question, can it occur in Paris? And it would be a disaster, certainly. So we don't know exactly, but the record temperatures that we could see in Paris so far was 42.6. So it's still above 40, but it's not reaching that level. So the services of the city were extremely interested in the question of whether we could have such temperatures occurring, and they even decided actually to do a real exercise with all the services, with the fire department, with the water, with the electricity companies, to see what could break and what could not work in real time with such temperatures. So that was extremely interesting, because that got involved many practitioners and stakeholders. And I'm not sure we have reached the full picture of what could happen in such cases, but at least there is consciousness now that temperatures can go much higher than what has been already seen, because in previous responses from cities and from elsewhere, it's always a bit frustrating to see that we are adapting to what we see actually, and not to what we expect in the future. So the way we were actually participating, Pascal, myself, and other scientists, other colleagues, also colleagues from the biodiversity, by the way, is to answer the question, is it really possible to have 50 degrees in Paris, and when? What are the probabilities, under what conditions? What is the context, the meteorological context, and also what is what is needed as coordination across services? But that was not our part. So this is now in a report. It's in French, I'm sorry, but it's extremely interesting to see how it was handled. So the idea for us was we had to rush actually with our colleagues, because they wanted the answer in 2 months. So we had to rush to find some method that would be at the same time could provide results short in a brief time, but also physically sound. So what we actually did was to use existing climate projections. So they were not at city levels, but at global levels. We used the CMIP6 projections, and we did not really actually have the time to do sophisticated bias correction, take into account city city specificities. But what we used observations as well, and we defined first the event over 50 degrees because that was not in that was not defined for us. We had to define it, and we looked at the differences between the regional average and the peak average in stations, in measurement stations, and found out that there is a high risk of 50 degrees if we reach 48 degrees based on previous observations. So we defined, because of the urban heat island also effects, so we define a 50 degrees event when the models actually exceed 48 degrees on the average over a small area around the city. So that accounts for also the urban heat island in the day. So we also did not bias correct, but we did a careful selection of models by comparing distribution for extreme temperatures and mean temperatures in a historical period, and we were careful to see that to the full distribution using a Kolmogorov-Smirnov test, and that was actually selecting 12 models that could pass the test without bias correction. And then we searched for events in future conditions that would exceed these 48 degrees. We looked then at timing, global warming level, analyzed context, weather conditions, etc. So I'm going to go very fast in the results. These are unpublished results as yet, but we are submitting the paper very soon. So I just want to give you a kind of a global picture of what happens in our search. So this figure shows actually the global warming levels and the events that we could find in the different models and realization. On total, I think there was about 200 simulations selected, and the cases are reported here. So you can see that these are for very high global warming levels.